Picture a Sass file on your team's design system. 40 lines, functions, and mixins someone wrote years ago, still quietly doing the same job every single build. Now picture deleting it. Not commenting it out, actually deleting it, and replacing the part that mattered with 6 lines of plain CSS. That's not a hypothetical anymore. CSS finally has real, native functions. And today, we're finding out exactly how much of that old Sass file it can actually replace. Honestly, not just the part that makes a good headline. Here's exactly what we're covering. What a Sass function actually does, and where its build step limitation always lived. The real syntax of CSS's new function rule, parameters, defaults, and what it actually returns. How to build local variables and branching logic into a function natively without ever leaving CSS. And one honest correction to make before you get too excited: exactly what this does and does not replace yet. Let's get into it. Quick recap, since this one builds directly on the CSS if function video. Short version, CSS hasn't stood still. Nesting, container queries, the has selector, color mix, the if function we already covered, all shipped within roughly the same few years. And they all point at the exact same shift. Logic that used to require a preprocessor and a build step, just to write in the first place, is steadily moving natively into the browser. Function is simply the next domino, arguably the biggest one, because it goes straight after something Sass has owned since the very beginning: reusable logic itself. Sass actually gives you 2 genuinely different tools for that. A Sass Mixin outputs an entire block of declarations, properties, and values, wherever you include it. A Sass function is different. It takes some input, runs actual logic, and returns one single value using return. Hold on to that distinction, it matters a lot later. The classic Sass function example, converting a pixel value to rem, so your spacing scale stays consistent across an entire design system. It works great, but it only ever exists at build time. Sass runs once, compiles that logic away, and ships you plain, static CSS. If you needed that calculation to actually change, based on something only knowable inside the real browser, say the actual width of the viewport someone's using, right now, not the breakpoint you guessed at while writing the Sass, you were stuck. Sass simply can't see that. It finished its job and shipped long before a real visitor ever loaded the page. You were stuck with whatever it decided months ago at compile time. That's exactly the gap native CSS just closed. There's a new @rule written at function, and it lets you define a real, reusable function that runs inside the browser itself at render time, not at build time. The syntax has one strict rule worth knowing up front. Your function's name has to start with 2 dashes, exactly like a custom property, because it's genuinely the same family of syntax. So you'd write @function --px to rem, a parameter called --px with a default value if you want one, then curly braces. Inside those braces, you write your logic and finish with one required line, the result descriptor, literally the word result, a colon, and the expression you're returning. For our conversion, that's simply result, colon, calc of --px divided by 16 times 1 rem. That's the entire function. Walk the actual numbers through it, call it with 24, that's 24 divided by 16, times 1 rem, which resolves to exactly 1.5 rem, computed live, the moment the browser needs it. And to actually use it, anywhere you'd write a normal value, you call it exactly like a custom property, --px to rem, with your actual pixel value inside the parentheses. Here's the part worth sitting with for a second, because it's exactly what makes that default argument genuinely useful. Call it with no argument at all, and it falls back to whatever default you gave the parameter. Call it with an actual pixel value, and that value overrides the default, completely, per call site. The same 6-line function quietly does the job of an entire family of separate Sass function calls, each one hard-coding a slightly different pixel value at build time. Here, it's one function, one real calculation, evaluated fresh, wherever you call it. Now here's where it gets genuinely more powerful than a plain Sass function ever was. A function body isn't limited to one single calculation. You can declare local custom properties inside the function itself, scoped only to that function, and build your result up in stages. Say your actual formula needs an intermediate step, doubling a value before converting it. You'd declare something like a local -- doubled variable inside the function. Calculate it once, then reference it in your final result line. In a single Sass return statement, that intermediate step needs its own variable, declared separately, above it, visible to everything around it. Here, it's contained entirely inside the function itself, nothing leaking out into the rest of your style sheet. And then there's the part your Sass if-else branch used to handle at build time, guessing at breakpoints in advance. Say you want that same spacing value to actually shrink automatically on a narrow screen. Inside a CSS function's body, you can nest an actual conditional group rule, a media query, directly inside the function. You give your function a default result, and then, inside a nested media block, you give it a different result, for exactly the condition you care about. The browser evaluates that live on every render using the real current viewport, not a guess made back at build time. That's not identical to Sass's if-else. It's a genuinely different mechanism. Group rules like media, container, and supports doing the branching, instead of one dedicated if keyword. But functionally, for exactly this kind of responsive logic, it's more accurate than Sass ever could be, because it's checking the real browser, in real time, not a value baked in ahead of time. One question worth answering directly, since performance is exactly what you'd expect this channel to ask about. Does evaluating a function live in the browser cost you anything compared to Sass's precompiled output? Not really, and here's why. A CSS function resolves through the exact same pipeline the browser already uses for every custom property and every calc expression on your page during style computation. It's not spinning up some separate script environment. There's no JavaScript involved at any point. You're not trading free static CSS for something genuinely expensive. You're trading it for one more declarative calculation. Resolved the same way the browser already resolves thousands of others, on every single page you've ever shipped. Now, a few honest limits, because overselling this helps nobody. First, recursion is explicitly blocked. A function cannot call itself, and if two functions ever call each other in a cycle function, a calling function B, which calls function A right back, the browser catches that and invalidates both, rather than letting your page hang trying to resolve an infinite loop. That's a deliberate safety rule, not a missing feature, and honestly a reasonable one. Sass can get away with recursion because it runs once, at build time, with a compiler watching for infinite loops before anything ships. A browser, evaluating this live on every single render, genuinely cannot afford that risk. Second, and this is exactly where the if function video left off too, this is still Chromium-only. It works in Chrome, Edge, and Opera right now, but Firefox and Safari haven't shipped it yet. It's not baseline, meaning it isn't safe to rely on alone, in production, without a real fallback. Ship it without one, and anyone on Firefox or Safari simply gets nothing back from that function call, your spacing, your calculated value, silently missing. That's not a reason to wait on this entirely. It's a reason to ship it behind a real fallback, the same honest pattern you'd already use for any other Chromium first feature. And third, the one correction actually worth making, before this video's own title runs away with itself. Remember, Sass gives you two separate tools, a function that returns one value and a Mixin that outputs a whole block of declarations. What we just built replaces Sass's value returning function, genuinely, completely, for that specific job. It does not yet replace a Sass Mixin that emits several full properties at once. A native version of that idea exists only as an early proposal. It hasn't shipped. So the honest claim isn't Sass is dead. It's the calculation half of Sass, the part doing real math, unit conversion, color logic, spacing scales. That half genuinely has a working native replacement today. So, practically, if you're looking at your own Sass file right now, here's the honest move. Go find the functions, the ones using return, not the mixins outputting whole blocks. That's your actual candidate list. Convert the pure calculation ones first. Your unit converters, your spacing scales, your color math. Wrap each converted one behind a supports check. At supports, function, -- your function name, open and close parentheses, and inside that block, use the native version. Outside it, your existing compiled Sass output keeps serving everyone else, completely unchanged. That's the fallback, handled honestly, not skipped. And if you actually want to verify it's working, open your browser's DevTools, inspect any element using your new function, and its computed value shows up exactly like any other resolved CSS value, calculated live, which is a genuinely satisfying way to watch build time logic become runtime logic, right in front of you. That's not a rewrite of your whole design system, it's a gradual, honest migration. Exactly the kind that's already worked for teams moving other parts of their design systems off Sass, piece by piece, not all at once. And keep one thing on your radar going forward. Browser support status genuinely changes. Check back on it every so often, the same way you'd have checked on the if function support before actually shipping it. What's Chromium only in a given quarter has a real habit of not staying that way for long on a feature this fundamental. So back to that opening image, a 40-line Sass file, and whether it's actually about to disappear. Here's the honest answer. Not the whole file, not yet. Mixins that output full declaration blocks still need Sass, or a proposal that hasn't shipped. But the functions inside that file, the ones just doing math and handing back a single value, those genuinely can go, replaced by real, native, browser-evaluated CSS, today in Chromium with a fallback for everyone else. That's a real current shift, not a hypothetical one, and is exactly the same shift the if function video was already part of. If seeing CSS actually become programmable is as interesting to you as it is to me, subscribe. We go deep on exactly one concept every single week. See you in the next